Here we are inside the Benimar Benivan 120. If we firstly move to the main control panel, we can turn the 12 volt on just here. Once we've done this, we can control the top lighting just here on this button. All of the other lights are then individually controlled on their own switches. Beneath this we then have the button for the water pump. Water pump needs to be on so we can get water out of the taps, flush the toilet and fill the boiler if it's been drained down. We then have awning light on and off. This one here will then give us information regarding batteries, water, etc. So if we go back to the beginning just here, you'll see that this is a Sargent EC362 control panel, and as we press you will see that it's showing us the condition of the leisure battery, and you'll see that it's charging as we are currently on the main supply. It will then show us that the vehicle battery is also being charged, and it's also giving us information regarding how much water is in the fresh tank and how much water is in the waste tank. We can select between the batteries, so we can switch between the vehicle and the leisure. Whichever one you've picked is the one you're actually using to run the back end of the motorhome, and then we can adjust the time just here by using the little arrow button just behind, and then we then return back to the beginning again. After that we then have the control panel for the Truma heating and hot water. We turn this control panel on by just pressing this black button just here, and it will then come on. This button here just works as a return button to get us back into anything. And you'll now see on the home screen it's just showing us the time, and it's also letting us know that we have main supply connected. If we now press this button, we will get all of these icons, and as I rotate they will begin to flash. So if we start with the first one, this one here is for your heating, so just click on it and then rotate and pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the van, right the way up to 30 degrees. So let's say we want it to be 30 degrees in here, just click on it to store it in, and you'll now see a little flames appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is actually in operation, the flame will flash. The flame will then flash until the temperature you've asked it has been achieved, and then it will obviously turn back off again. After that we then have hot water. Hot water is currently off. Again, rotate and we can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. If we rotate again, we can heat in hot, which will give us a temperature of about 60 degrees. And if I rotate again, we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having a shower in quick succession of each other, or if you just want a longer shower. If you do perform the boost, as I am at the moment, and the heating was running, the heating would turn off because it needs to take the power to be able to perform the boost. But I will now go back to it and drop it to Eco, which will give us 40 degrees. After that we then have power source. So we're currently using, to heat up the hot water, main supply using 2 kilowatts. We can lower the power consumption to 1 kilowatt. So if we're on a low amp site, that will stop us from tripping. We can run in dual fuel, so we can run on a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatt, or a mixture of gas and mains at 1 kilowatt. Dual fuel is extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly, and it will also only use gas as it's required. After the dual fuels, we then have gas on its own for when you are not hooked up to main supply. After power source, we then have circulation fan, and we can have the fan in eco or high. And if I now turn off hot water and I turn off the heating, and we now go back to it, we can also use the fan to vent. The fan speed is variable between 1 and 10, and then it will just circulate the air around the van on a warm day. If we now drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer, so you literally just set a start time and an end time, and then just tell basically the control panel what you want on within that time period. Obviously, if you're going to be using a timer, it helps if the clock is correct, so you just set the time in this one here. And then lastly, we have the settings menu. Within that, we have offset for the thermostat, so if you don't think it's quite correct, you can just tweak it slightly. Just if you prefer your temperature displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit, the brightness of the screen, 12 or 24-hour clock, language, index, which is more for the technicians in the workshop, it just lets them know what software it's running, and then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time, these control panels will throw up error codes. For instance, this control panel is linked to the main control panel. So if I now turn off the 12-volt system, this will now throw up an error code to let us know that it's lost 12 volt. If I now turn the power back on again, the error code will automatically put itself out. So a lot of the time, as long as you are rectifying the problem, the error code will just disappear. The main ones you are going to get is that one that you've just seen, or another one telling you that you don't have main supply connected, or you don't have gas. If it's a gas code, it will only allow you to try and reset it a few times, and then it will go into a locked out state for 15 minutes, and then you will have to wait until you can try again. Next, we have the Dometic fridge, on and off just here. We can run on main supply with a little picture of the 2-pin plug. We can run on gas. These fridges auto ignite themselves, so you do not need to do anything else. If it fails to light, you will get something similar to what I'm going to show you now. So if we now switch it on to 12 volt maintained for when we're driving, obviously the engine isn't running at the moment, so it's going to beep at us to let us know that it hasn't got 12 volt at the moment. This is the noise you will get if it fails to light on gas, or if you're running on main supply and you do not have it. If it is a gas issue and you think it might just be due to the fact a bit of air in the system, what you can do is press this button here, and it will then attempt to relight itself. It does highlight it on the little sticker just here. If I now put it back onto mains, we can adjust the temperature just on this one here, and then it is just push down to open, and to vent the fridge when not in use, this bit here, if you just push it slightly in and then pull forward, we can then hold the door on a jar. Next we have the 2 gas burners. It is just push in, twist and press the igniter. And then beneath that we have the oven and grill. So if we push and then down and then press the igniter, we can fire up the grill. And then if we then go the opposite way, we can then fire up the oven. Beneath the oven we have the water pump just here, and we have the majority of the gas isolation taps in here as well. They are all on the on position and can quite frankly stay like that. They say they're more for maintenance. If you did actually smell gas in the van, I always suggest that you actually go underneath the van and isolate the gas tank itself. We then have the consumer unit just here. So we have the trip switches just here. So we have 3 individual MCBs, and as you can see they're labelled, and then you have the main RCD and test button just here, and then we have the 12 volt fuses just here, and again they're all labelled up, so it makes it nice and easy if something's not working to check if the fuse is blown. Above we have isolator switches for the battery charger, so obviously if we turn this one off we will not be able to charge the batteries up from the main supply. And we have the isolator for the heating and hot water on mains, so again if you turn that one off whilst you're on the mains you will get an error code on the trimmer control panel. All of these more modern Sargent units all now come with full system shutdown, so if you're not using the van for long periods of time, what you can do is press this button here and it will kill any residual draw on the leisure battery. The leisure battery itself is located underneath this bench seat here. So it's located just here, and the main fuse is just here, and then the combi boiler is just here, and to drain it down for winterization it's just done on the yellow lever just tucked down here. All we need to do to drain it is make sure the water pump is turned off, flap it into the upright position like so, and it will then drop all the water out of the boiler. To fill it back up again, flap it back over like so, turn the water pump on, and then the water pump will reprime the boiler back up again. Bed is nice and simple. It is just pull out like so, and exactly the same on the other side, and then it's just a matter of just dropping your cushions into place. In the overhead locker beside the wardrobe we have the solar panel regulator and selector. So it shows you what the rocker switch does. So in the middle the solar panel is off. If I flick it up to 1 we are charging the vehicle battery off the solar panel, and if I flick it down to 2 we are charging the leisure battery. It shows the battery status just in here, so you will actually see at the moment that both batteries are as good as fully charged. In the next overhead locker beside the solar panel regulator we then have the digital amplifier for the television aerial on the roof, on and off just here, and then control the boost on the inner dial just here. And then if we go over to the opposite side of the van we then have the iNet box for the heating and hot water system. So if you want to control your heating and hot water via an app on a device, what you need to do is go and download the Truma app. Once you have done that, make sure the Bluetooth is turned on your device and then launch the app. Once the app is loaded you will see a button that says remote control. Just press that and then follow the on-screen instructions. It will firstly tell you to come to the Bluetooth button just here and push it, and then you will commence connecting up. Once you have connected you will then be able to control your heating and your hot water locally via Bluetooth. What you can also do is purchase a pay-as-you-go SIM card and register that through the app, and then that plugs in up the top here, and then you will be able to control heating and hot water from much further afield. In the wardrobe we have the table and pole just here, and also the fire extinguisher. And then if we move into the washroom, we have the Thetford toilet just here, open to the cassette on the grey lever, and then blue button to flush just here. Level indicator just here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying, and then close to the cassette again just here. If this is left open and you try to remove the cassette, it will not come out. We then have the basin just here, and with this basin it is just tip away slowly to empty. And then above that we then have the vanity cabinets. Behind the driver's seat we have the larger table, and then you will also find a few more fuses as well, and again they're all labelled up.